Hello music lovers and record collectors. Today I'm gonna do a deep dive into one of my favorite 60s pop band, the Honeybus.
We walk here, we walk there. People stop and people stare, 'cause she flies like a bird in the sky.
I'm gonna do a deep dive. I'm gonna tell you their story and show you the records from my collection. But not only that, I will also show you the solo albums from the band members when they left Honeybus. So you will have the full picture here of the band. And one of the records in this batch is also the rarest record in my collection. So if you dig rare original records, stay tuned in this video. And Honeybus were like this, to me, the perfect pop band from the 60s. Sounds a bit like Beatles around Rubber Soul era or Revolver era, combined with some zombies, combined with some American pop from that time, combined with some Kinks, and Honeybus combined all these things into their really perfect pop, in my opinion. Just great arrangements, great singing, and great tunes. Anyway, the inspiration for this video is Dom, Seeking a Thread, one of my favorite channels, of course, and one of the greatest guys in the VC. He did a video about an album called Into Your Ears by Pete Dello from 1971. He really talked about that in depth, and Pete Dello is one of the members from Honeybus. So I wanted to continue on his video and expand a little bit about Pete Dello and about Honeybus and about the music that they did earlier on and what they did later on and solo records and everything. And I'm gonna put a link down here in the description so you can go and check that out. But Honeybus is still a really obscure name. Not everyone has heard about them. So I want to spread the word a little bit about Honeybus because I think they are just a fabulous band. Let's dig into Honeybus.
Have you seen the light that she keeps within her eyes when she looks your way?
So the Honeybus, they were started in the mid-60s by a guy called Pete Dello and a guy called Ray Kane. And before Honeybus, they had been working as a songwriting duo. They had been playing in different bands in London and trying to make it as songwriters. And one of the early compositions that they did was the single by the Applejacks, this song called Baby Jane that came out in 1964. And this is a really great Kinks style beat song. So it's typically for the early mid-60s. A nice rocker with a really great guitar solo in it. But it's not their band, but it was written by the two guys that started Honeybus. And pretty cool single, and that is the first one I have in my collection that was written by Pete Dello and Ray Kane. In 1967 they formed Honeybus, and at that time it was only Pete Dello and Ray Kane together with their manager Terry Noon that was kind of an important figure in this story. So they recorded their debut single Delighted to See You in 1967, written by Pete Dello, and on that one is just Pete Dello and Ray Kane together with studio musicians. But that single didn't do anything in the charts and is quite rare to find, but a great pop song by Dello. Then they recruited a member called Colin Hare and the drummer called Pete Kersher, and together they became the classic lineup of Honeybus. And the second single they released as the full Honeybus lineup is called Do I Still Figure in Your Life? A song that Pete Dello would later re-record. But anyway, that single didn't sell either. But the next single that they released became a really big hit, and that is I Can't Let Maggie Go, that came out on Deram in the mid-1967. And there it is. I Can't Let Maggie Go is, to me, just a perfect pop single. It's beautifully arranged, lovely harmonies, very light and very memorable, and that chorus line is just stuck in your head, and it's a really, really likable track. And it has been used many times in commercials and films and stuff like that. So it's definitely a really, really good song. And this became a big hit for Honeybus. It reached top 20 at least in the UK. And the Honeybus became this in-demand band. Were they the next Beatles on Decca or Deram? They appeared on cover of magazines, they played on TV, and all of a sudden they became pop stars in the UK. But Pete Dello, the songwriter for Can't Let Maggie Go and their other singles at this point, he wasn't really comfortable with being a pop star. He didn't like touring, he was more comfortable in the studio, and he didn't want to be chased by girls and stuff like that. So he left the band right after this became a big hit single.
We walk here, we walk there. People stop and people stare, 'cause she flies like a bird in the sky. She flies like a bird, and I wish that she was mine. She flies like a bird, oh me, oh my, see, I sigh. Now I know I can't let Maggie go.
So what do you do when your main songwriter and front guy leave the band? A normal band would probably call it a day and quit, but not Honeybus. I mean, Ray Kane was a great songwriter in his own right, so the band decided to keep on going. And around 6 months after Can't Let Maggie Go, they released their first single without Pete Dello, called Girl of Independent Means, written by Ray Kane. That is also a lovely, great song, sung by the drummer in the band, Pete Kircher. But the interest for Honeybus has cooled down and it didn't sell. They released another single in 1969 and that didn't do anything either. So they decided to quit the band. But their manager, Terry Noon, really believed in them, and he pushed them into continue recording songs so that they had material to fill up a whole LP. And they recorded during 1969 a lot of songs, but during that sessions the band was falling apart. The drummer left the band and they recorded an album, but there wasn't a band around when it was done. But they had a full LP, and after some month, Decca or Deram decided to release it. And it came out in February 1970, and it was called Story. Released in this laminated cover. Here you can see them. Colin Hare, Ray Kane and Peter Kircher there, just as a trio. But this is filled with great 60s pop music. Just as their early singles, they had great harmonies. There are some baroque arrangements. There are even some songs that goes more into folk rock, and some songs are very lightly psychedelic as well.
Thinking which way to go, as if I didn't know. Under the silent tree, it all comes back to me. You make it the jump.
And on this LP, most songs were written by Ray Kane, but at this point, Colin Hare had started to write his own songs, and he was really becoming this great songwriter as well. So they all contributed to this LP with songs, and they all sang on the LP. But with no band around to promote it, it didn't sell at all, and soon after this came out, there wasn't any interest for Honeybus at all.
She is a lady of leisure, spending her time in a number of ways, bringing me moments of pleasure, buying me ties and changing my ways. And she's oh so fine. I remember Caroline. She's old.
And it's a shame. I think more people should have discovered Honeybus and listened to this. But in 1970, this type of 60s pop wasn't really fashionable. I've said this many times before. A lot of great pop psych LPs that came a little too late, they didn't sell. People were listening to Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin in 1970, and this type of sweet harmony pop wasn't really a big thing.
The day. Oh, better just forget you ever came.
Honeybus wasn't around anymore, but Colin Hare, he had really become this great songwriter, and he wanted to do a solo album with his own songs after Honeybus. So he started to record his solo album called Marsh Hare, that looks like this. And this LP came out on Penny Farthing in the UK in 1971. And there he is on the back. He's a little bit different style than his like mods 60s pop style. Labels look like this. The Penny Farthing. This album is filled with great songs. This has more like a country flavor to it, more folk style to it. You can really hear some influences from Bob Dylan and singer-songwriters at the time. But there are also this fantastic Honeybus pop music in this LP. So he had really learned the craft. When he joined Honeybus, he hadn't written a single song. And this is just a couple of years later, and he did a full album of his own material. And I guess he was kind of inspired by Pete Dello's songwriting at this point. But this LP came out, and it didn't happen anything to it at all. And this is a really rare LP to find these days, as all of the Honeybus LPs and solo LPs are really hard to find.
Years of worry, weeks of strain, all for nothing, in vain. When your decomposing face lies in the ground, when your ego disappears and can't be found, that's when you know what it's like to be.
It is a single by Colin Hare that he released around the same time as he did Marsh Hare. And it's this record, Underground Girl on the A side here, and Fighting for Peace on the B side. And this is a demo disc on Penny Farthing in this company sleeve. And the B-side here, Fighting for Peace, is a non-album track. Underground Girl is on his solo LP. And this is a really great B-side, so I have this single just for this extra song. And I think Colin Hare released a couple of more singles during this time. I don't have them, but I at least have this single. A really cool addition to the LP.
Don't break my bones and sinews for me, I need them to carry me around. Don't make me fight for your forgotten ends. Don't make me lose my life with all my friends, 'cause I'm fighting for peace. I'm fighting for peace.
when Pete Dello left the band, he had some songs written and he continued to write songs, and actually put out some of his material under different names during 69 and 70. And one of them is under the name Magic Valley. He released this in 1969, Taking the Heart Out of Love, with the B-side Uptight Basil. These songs later appeared on his solo album. So Pete Dello was still around, and he had still contact with the other guys. And their manager, Terry Noon, I talked about him earlier. He had had contact with Pete Dello since he left the band, and he tried to convince him to release an album with his solo material as well. So Pete Dello went back to the studio to record his first solo album. And he eventually released this classic LP that is called Into Your Ears by Pete Dello, that came out in 1971. These two records, they were recorded at the same time, and the session musicians and the members, they were like jumping between studios, helping each other out. So it's basically, these two combined together would have been a Honeybus record, but it came out as two solo albums instead. But it's basically the same members helping each other out. We have Ray Kane arranging music. We have, all the band members are playing here. And I have shown this one before, and Dom did a great video about this LP, so I encourage you to check that out, where he go deep into this album. But in short, it's an absolutely killer pop LP, very English, very like Kinks style and Village Green style of music, great baroque pop, folk pop. And I should also say that this cover is a gatefold. You can fold it out like this. This artwork was made by Roger Dean, the famous artist that did a lot of album covers for prog bands like Yes and others. And I just love this LP cover, and it's really, 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 really hard to find in good condition. You always have a lot of ring wear and stuff on this. I have just a little bit up here, but nothing major. The Nepentha label, and this is a UK original.
It ain't the way you always seem to wake a half hour late. And in the rush my eggs are always broken on the plate. It ain't the way you make me wait, Kate. It's the way you say how you do in the morning. You ain't no saint, but you feel that a sinner.
It actually came a single by Honeybus in 1972, where they have one Colin Hare on one side and one Pete Dello on the other side. It was only released in the US on Bell Records. I don't have that single, but they released a Honeybus single at that time. And around the recording of these two records, Pete Dello felt that maybe it's time for Honeybus to do a comeback and release another album. So they decided to get back together and record another album. And their manager, as I have talked about before, Terry Noon, he scored a deal with the British side of Warner Music to a 3-album deal, actually. So they went back to the studio and started to record. And they recorded materials for a whole album that was supposed to be released in 1973. And these albums are really, really rare to find in UK originals. But the next one I'm gonna show is impossible to find because it was never released. It only came out as a test pressing, because when the album was done, someone at Warner, maybe they changed management, or I don't know what happened, but they decided to cancel the release. So it never came out. But there exists like a 20 test pressings, white label test pressings in white covers. So it's time to show you the rarest record in my collection, probably the rarest. And it doesn't look like much, but this is actually the white label that the test pressing came in. And here's the catalog number written up here. And it came in one of those plastic bags, can be dangerous. Someone has written Honeybus up there. And the white is just nothing. And the LP just looks like this. And on the other side just looks like this. So the only way you can see that it's this LP is you have to read the stamped matrix number. So I will insert a picture of that. So how did I get this LP? Well, it actually appeared on eBay a long time ago. And it was described as VG Plus. But I thought this is one chance in a lifetime. So I put in a big bid at that time. And I actually got it for, and I think it went for 400 something UK pounds. So I'm not sure what it's worth today, but I paid a lot for it, but I think it's worth way much more these days. So it's a monster rare one, but it's not only rare, it's like a full length album by the Honeybus with new songs at this time, 1973. It's a shame it didn't come out because it's filled with classic Honeybus pop music, absolutely brilliant stuff. Most of the songs were written by Pete Dello, but we also have contribution from both Ray Kane and Colin Hare, of course.
Journals and last year's times, just to watch you stamp my card. I can diagnose almost every complaint, but I just can't find the answer to what's staring me in the face. I can't say it, but I can see.
Not much had changed since I Can't Let Maggie Go. They were holding on to this 60s pop style, and they didn't change it, they just refined it album after album. So maybe that's why Warner cancelled it. They thought that, yeah, this sounds like 1968 or so. So I mean, that could be one of the reasons that they cancelled it. But it's an absolutely gem in my opinion. It has been reissued these days, so you can find it, but I think even the reissue is quite rare these days. The album was supposed to be called Recital. There exists some covers with like a proof printing of the cover, but when I have read about it, Pete Dello didn't know anything about this cover, so I guess it was something that Warner just was testing out, and I think only 1 or 2 copies has this artwork. But this artwork is now on the reissue, so if you find this, you will find it with the artwork. Really glad to have this amazingly rare test pressing of Honeybus' last album. And actually I printed the eBay listing and kept it with the record here. It says 1973 white label test pressing in white card sleeve. Honeybus Recital. This is an incredibly rare album that I had to grade VG Plus, blah blah blah. But yeah, very cool to have.
Like a bird, she's always flying high. But like a bird, she never knows just where she's going. She must come back. Love is a big ship sailing on the ocean, looking for a place to go, searching.
So that was my little deep dive into Honeybus and to the members of the Honeybus. A really fascinating story of the members and the bands, how they got together and how they recorded their different albums. And I mean, what could have happened if Pete Dello stayed in the band after Can't Let Maggie Go. Maybe they would have been a huge band these days. Now we have this like pretty obscure UK band that is absolutely top class, and all these records are really hard to find these days and have become collectible items. And I mean, rightly so. They have everything. They have this story and the background, and most importantly, they have these fantastic songs. Check them out. They are on streaming and on YouTube, and start there. And if you like this 60s pop, if you like Kinks, Beatles, harmony pop bands from the 60s, definitely check out Honeybus and what they did. I have to find a couple of Honeybus singles that I don't have to complete my collection. I think all their singles are worth having. So thanks for tuning in this time, and until next time, take care, buy records, and make love, not war. Peace.